Today we hit the keys to victory, but if you've been nervous about this game, at least a little bit all the week, you're not alone. I feel it too. But if some of practice made me a little nervous coming into SDSU last week, some of practice this week has me singing an entirely different tune.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Alldeo State. Today, we're partially brought to you by Game Time Tickets. Do not miss out on your opportunity to get the best tickets in the game. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Game time can come in huge for you if you're trying to catch the Cowboys take on the Razorbacks this weekend. Last week, we had some things pop up in practice, protection-wise, that led to far too many sacks, tackles for loss, things of that nature. We were able to clean that up, which is why I'm bringing this up. This is important. If we were able to clean all of that up in practice last week, and then it was able to show on the field because Alan Bowman not only didn't get sacked, but he didn't really deal with a whole lot of pressure. That was the issue in practice. We were clearly able to rectify that situation come game time. For that reason alone, I am very excited to hear that this week's practice has been significantly different. Very excited to know that Wednesday's practice was hands down, not even close, by a solid country mile, the most physical and intense practice we've had this year. Some may even argue that it's the most intense physical practice we've had since beginning of Bedlam last year. The fellows definitely showed up for that game, just like I feel like they should be able to take this and carry it forth against Arkansas. Arkansas clearly proved offensively that it's not going to be easy to slow them down. But if you can take something in practice that is clearly a limitation and you can find a way to address it in a Thursday, shell day, walkthrough day, and then implement it on a Saturday, I feel pretty good about the same implementation taking place this Saturday. What you do in practice is not always a reflection of how you're going to end up playing on game day. But to me, this is a phenomenal sign. I would rather practices be getting a little bit heated and a little bit chippy than the latter. It's the same concept of you'd rather, reel somebody in than have to push them out to go be a productive employee. That's essentially what this is becoming. The NIL, the transfer market, all of this has kind of turned this into a business. I think it's only a matter of time before these individuals on the elite football teams are considered employees, especially if we get to a point that it appears as though we're getting to where the NCAA has some, guidelines that allow the university to have an integral hand in the NIL process. But we've talked about the catapult system, Talon Shetron being clocked at over 18 miles an hour 37 times in practice. We've talked about how anybody who's caught below 12 miles an hour for a certain amount of steps has some ramifications of that. But I don't know that we've talked enough about the intensity. Matter of fact, I think the latter could be a viable argument here. Last year, we did a lot of full contact, to the ground, hardcore, intense practicing. Now, it did beat us up a decent amount, but it also allowed us to go on that run at the end of the season, only really losing one game going into the Big 12 title game. Of course, that has a negative too, because going into the Big 12 title game, we had a lot of players banged up, including our best player, Ollie Gordon. And we all know how that worked out. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that if we'd have been fully healthy, we'd have beat Texas. I'm not saying that at all. Athletically, they were pretty daggone gifted all the way across the board. But we were playing a lot of youth then, as opposed to a lot of experience now. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that experience is the only thing that matters. What I will say to this experience, accompanied with the fact that practice this week has been far more physical, far more intense, I think it's a good sign because of the leadership. It's the same reason I think Oklahoma State could have a good season. It's the same reason I didn't feel like we were going to underestimate South Dakota State, because of the leadership. So to know that the practices are becoming far more intense as Arkansas is, coming into town, that can only spell a recipe for success. I don't think that there's any disillusionment out there that this offense is going to put up points for Arkansas. There's no disillusionment out there that Bobby Petrino is not one of the best offensive coordinators in the game of football at any level, anywhere. Bobby Petrino is that good. This is going to be the biggest test ever, really, on a national stage on ABC for Bryan Nardo to change perception. This whole week is about changing perception. We know what the SEC fan base traditionally thinks of Big 12 teams. We've had a very good sample size now of very many people predicting that Arkansas is going to win the game. We've heard ad nauseum about how Ollie Gordon is the only weapon that Oklahoma State has, and without Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State would be dog water team. We've heard all of that. And from what I've gathered this week in practice, we're embracing the hate. Not over the top. Not in an immature way. Not in a way that you would have some concerns. Because, again, you're talking 55, 56-ish seniors or fifth-year juniors, fourth-year juniors. We still have some of those COVID dudes left over that have done nothing but maintain this locker room. So as much as we need the intensity to pick up, it has. We also need everybody to stay focused on the minute details. That we will not know until tomorrow. But I have faith in all these seniors. I have faith in the leadership, and I have faith in the continuity on the coaching staff. Just like I have faith in Bryan Nardo being able to get this thing done. And you know what? I'm going to try to have some faith in Kasey Dunn completely shifting perception of him as well. I know there are some Kasey Dunn defenders out there. You all know I'm not one of them. But just like Mike Gundy was able to change my mind, as well as several others out there that thought maybe Mike Gundy was taking the Dabo Swinney approach to NIL. And he was in the beginning. But he changed his tune. And he reshifted everything within the Cowboy culture last season. So bada boom, bada bing, bada bang. I'm more than on board for whatever contract, especially if you give us a Big 12 title this year. But if any of us, including myself, right, can jump all aboard the Mike Gundy train because he stepped in, stepped up, earned it, deserved it, well, Kasey Dunn can do the same thing. And he can start with this game. Again, I don't want a track meet. I don't want a 45, 55, 60 style of game like some of the old Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph Bedlams used to be. I don't want that. Is it fun? Sure, I guess. But I've already got enough gray hair. I'm already going bald. I don't need it to be accelerated by this particular season. Because y'all know I'm invested to the max in this season. I'm talking Big 12 title, CFB style year. This game doesn't differentiate whether we're going to make it or not. But it does add so much in perception that the news of practice this week should be viewed as a massive amount of encouragement. Because, again, the things that we needed to address after last week's practices, we did that. Did we run block very well? No. But did we allow Alan Bowman to get touched? Also, no. For that reason, this news is much more exciting than it maybe even should be. We're talking about practice? We're talking about practice? Yeah, we are. We're talking about practice. And we're talking about how crazy practice has been getting recently from an intensity standpoint. That physicality should carry over. So if Arkansas and Sam Pittman won a slobber knocker of a game, it appears as though we're ready to give it to them. Just like it should always appear to you to get the right hires at the right time. You got to go with the right company, and you all know who that company is. That company is the LinkedIn Talent Solutions. The hiring game right now is absolutely wild just because people are trying to sift through what jobs are worthwhile and what jobs makes the most amount of sense and what jobs are being the most upfront. You can cut through all of the craziness by using LinkedIn today. LinkedIn Talent Solutions is the best in the game. And currently 86% of small businesses do not even mess with the other hiring sites. Within 24 hours, they get a qualified candidate and don't need to anymore. So you need to hire professionals like a professional by using LinkedIn. Guys, over 70% of LinkedIn users, they don't visit other sites because they know who the best in the game is And if you're not looking at LinkedIn, you're probably looking in the wrong place. Small businesses are having to do so much more nowadays than ever before. They don't really have the time and the resources to hire like they used to. LinkedIn knows that, and they're constantly finding ways to make the process easier for you. They even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So should you. Post your job for free today at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, all one word. Again, that is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, all one word. Post your job for free today. Terms and conditions do apply. The Cowboys have several things that are applicable to this game. One of those has to be the carryover from the practices to the game, of course. But what are the keys to victory? Well, some of them are going to be pretty simplistic, right? Like this one. You have to contain Taylor Green. If a guy has a 59% completion percentage and a 55.6% interception to touchdown ratio, you have to make the man throw the ball. And I'm sure that's the same thing they're saying about Alan Bowman. Alan Bowman's not going to take off and scramble like Taylor Green, but there's not very many people in the country that can take off and scramble like Taylor Green. The dude is 6'6", 230 pounds, and he looks like he runs a legit high 4.5 40. So if you contain him and you force him to throw and you force him to be uncomfortable, naturally, I think it gives us the advantage. We did not get to the quarterback enough against SDSU. We have to make an emphasis on it this game. But again, it was very basic, right? There wasn't a lot of shifts, not a lot of stunts or twists or doing much up front. We didn't get crazy with the blitz packages. We didn't get crazy with Kendall Daniels. Well, that's the other layer here, is we know about their big three. So if you can contain Luke Haas, I think you're probably going to have a pretty good day when it comes to getting to the quarterback, because Luke is one of the best tight ends in the SEC. Therefore, he's going to be one of the top reads every single time for Taylor Green. A quarterback's best friend, especially a mobile quarterback, their best friend is typically a tight end. So if you have a good tight end, it allows you to get away with so much more. They have that guy. The difference is we have a guy that can slow down that guy. And the guy that we have that can slow down that guy is also an Okie, who is also the number one ranked player in the state. Kendall Daniels is on a mission here. He's not going to let Luke Haas be the determining factor on whether we win or lose this ball game. Because if you slow down Luke, you're probably going to be okay simply from a timing perspective. And the better that our coverage is downfield, the more time that our D-line has to get to the QB. We got to make Taylor Green uncomfortable, or this could be a long day. If he gets loose and he's able to run around all day like he was able to do at Boise State, again, going to be a long day. Oklahoma State historically hasn't been great with mobile quarterbacks. I mean, most teams in the country do struggle with mobile quarterbacks. So I'm not saying that Oklahoma State is different, but I am saying that it was something that was an Achilles heel for quite some time. And there's times like Caleb Williams where we had dudes like Malcolm Rodriguez and Devin Harper step up to the occasion and Colin Oliver to make some crazy plays, which is why we're going to lead to another key with Colin Oliver. He cannot just be a coverage dude. I think we have Kendall Daniels to help out in that department. This should be a game where he's able to pin his ears back more often than not. We have to win on third downs. That's a key to victory in this one. And part of that key is going to be the linebacker and safety room. It's all going to be about timing. And if we can't disrupt his timing and we do allow him to get loose, it could be a long day. And then on the flip side, for Bryan Nardo, we showcased a matchup with Corey Black. But I think by and large, our DB room has been talked about ad nauseum for a year and a half now. And it hasn't really been good. We're almost starting to get to the point where some fans are getting a little restless with Bryan Nardo. It is what it is. It's fair to say it. He did win several games for Oklahoma State last season with fourth quarter adjustments. But yes, giving up 150 yards to a wide receiver at any level is kind of unacceptable. It happened. Trey Rucker is phenomenal in the run game, but we don't know if it's going to translate in this game on the back end. Lyric Rawls, he's still kind of getting back into the fold of things, which has caused him to take some awkward angles here and there. That can't happen. This is a game where our defensive backfield needs to make a statement, whether it's Cam Smith or Lyric Rawls or Trey Rucker or Corey Black. They're going to test us because I don't think they're going to lean solely on Jaquindon Jackson. So I think a big key to the game is our DBs proving that the numbers aren't always, applicable to every team that rolls through Stillwater, Oklahoma. The biggest key is it's got to be Bryan Nardo, right? Bryan Nardo has to win this chess match. I don't know that he's faced somebody quite like Bobby Petrino. I highly doubt he's sleeping this week, and I'd be a little surprised and maybe even disappointed if he was getting plenty of sleep. But the team seems to be ready for this game. They're ready for this moment. They understand that this is a statement for either side. It's a big statement for us. It's a big statement for Arkansas if they were to get this thing done. Of course, a massive key to the game is to slow down Jaquindon Jackson. I'm sure that offensive line is going to be on a mission to have him rush for more yards than Ollie Gordon. But you're talking 4 brand new offensive linemen and their top linemen being out for this game. So I don't think our defensive line did nearly enough against SDSU, but it could be possible that the SDSU offensive line was better than this Arkansas offensive line. Maybe not from a size perspective, maybe not even necessarily from a skill perspective, but continuity, understanding leverage, understanding communication. SDSU won 29 games in a row for a reason because they're very well coached. They do not mess up their gap assignments very often. I don't think that Arkansas, with the 4 new linemen, are going to be prepared for the packaging. We haven't even seen any of the NASCAR stuff yet. We haven't even seen some of the safety linebacker end multi-shifts or any of that. We haven't seen nothing yet defensively. Of course, I have questions offensively, but this has to be that day, that game for Bryan Nardo. And of course, offensively. Ollie Gordon, he's going to do his thing. He's going to get his yards. This is a game for Alan Bowman to prove the haters wrong. So just like a key to victory is going to be our back end, slowing down their wide receiver core, including the 6'7", 220-pounder. The same is in reverse. All they're talking about is Ollie Gordon for the most part. Nobody's given Alan Bowman any respect. Nobody's given this wide receiver core a whole lot of respect unless you have to load the box, right? That seems to be the common consensus, is if you have to load the box to stop Ollie Gordon, then Oklahoma State has the receivers to hurt you. But if you can play straight up, man-on-man, all day, every day, then you're going to have the advantage over Oklahoma State's wide receivers. I don't agree with that. So if this game has had some bulletin board material, hopefully most of it was filtered towards Kasey Dunn, but this wide receiver core, I'm sure at some point in time, has to get tired of hearing about how every other team's goal is to shut down Ollie Gordon because there's this massive fallacy that if you stop Ollie, you win the game. I mean, 126 yards last week, that was pretty much Ollie getting stopped, right? Let's face it, 126-yard game is not a great one for Ollie Gordon because he's so great. He knows that. Our wide receiver core knows that. Alan Bowman knows that. This offensive line knows what they looked like last week. If Bryan Nardo shows up and the wide receivers are able to bail out Bowman, I mean, this is a scenario where I think Bowman should just take more chances, right? Have faith in your wide receivers winning over their DBs. I think that might be the biggest key to this victory is the fact that everybody's underestimating our wide receivers. We welcome it. We cherish it. We love it. And I can't wait for the wide receiver core to showcase what we have cooking on the field. I'm sure their plan is to stop Ollie Gordon. I mean, and you can't fault them for it. Just like I wouldn't fault you if you got squared away today with Game Time tickets. They're the best in the game, and we have a big game coming up. So it just kind of makes sense. Game Time tickets is the bee's knees for all of your needs. And again, this isn't just about football or sports in general. Whether it's music, comedy, theater, or athletics, Game Time has you covered. They have the best stuff in the game, including the Game Time picks that makes getting tickets faster and easier. They also have the all-in price toggling, so you know all of the fees up front, so there's no surprises at checkout. The lowest price guarantee means that they will credit you back 110% of the difference. The Game Time ticket coverage means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. And whether you're getting a ticket at kickoff or an hour after kickoff, the deals just keep getting better because that's how Game Time does it. The Game Time picks filter out all the crazy stuff and show you the best deals on the best seats so you don't have to, spend hours searching. Make sure that you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create that account, redeem that code, LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today to take all the guesswork out of you buying any tickets for any games. From Game Time tickets to getting ready for the Game Time experience in football, we shift a little bit here because Steve Lutz finally got a big one. And I'm not going to say that the Canadian that he brought in to help out isn't a big one. I'm not saying that guys like Arturo Dean are not going to be instrumental because of all the transfer processes. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is if you're going to start your coaching career at Oklahoma State with your first commit ever, a highly rated 4-star that shoots 46% from three-point range is probably a pretty good get. Guys, this is a great way to make a statement because most of us that were questioning Steve Lutz is because of the recruiting acumen that Mike Boynton brought to the table. Well, now that we have a 4-star consensus 6'5" guard out of North Carolina and Ryan Crotty, this announcement is big. It's big for, obviously, Steve Lutz. It's big for Cowboy basketball, but it's good. It's big for the fan base because it lets us know that he does have some recruiting acumen built in here. Guys, this dude's from North Carolina, the top 90 ranked player in America, and he picked Oklahoma State over Clemson and Miami and Virginia Tech and West Virginia and several other schools that were lined up right there for the taking. But he didn't take it. He didn't even necessarily, dive too far. But 46%, let's rewind that back a bit. Can anybody tell me the last Cowboy that was recruited out of high school that shot over 46% from a three-point range? I'm gonna give a little time here for the comment section on YouTube. I'll put it to you this way. You got to go back quite a ways, and hint, he's on staff. The last player that we grabbed that was shooting over 46.7% from three-point range out of high school was the Pawnee Pistol, Keaton Page. So you're talking about a dude coming in, and we know we need shooters. We knew that was an issue last season, and that was one of our limitations. But you're talking about a 6'5", 180-pound shooting guard that can dish, he can get down in the lane and cause some chaos and get some buckets. But he's so deadly from outside. That's a better percentage than Bryce Thompson, Lindy Waters, Thomas DeZagua, Phil Forte, Stevie Clark. This is huge for Steve Lutz and Cowboy basketball. I have no doubt that we are going to fill up Gallagher-Iba quite often this season just to show the love and support for the year one coach. But doing something like this is definitely going to get more people on board. If you can go to North Carolina and steal somebody right out from underneath Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and all of those schools while averaging almost 19 points a game at a preparatory academy, this is a big deal. And I don't think people are talking enough about it. If Mike Boynton would have got this, of course, it would be all over the place, but it would also be part of the status quo. This is not the status quo for Steve Lutz. This is his first ever commit as a Cowboy coach for his own recruiting class. And he went in and pulled a Mike Boynton, right? So we're getting the hustle, the attitude, the effort, the intensity, the diving for loose balls, and the emphasis on making Gallagher-Iba great again. And then we get a kid like this that everybody in the country's been after. I mean, he even turned down some Big 12 schools. So this is huge. And it's a long way to get somebody of this caliber that most people had locked to be a Clemson or Virginia Tech style of guy or Miami. But no, he wants to be a Cowboy. You can't fault him for having a high IQ, all right, and wanting to join the right side. But let me know down in the comment section for all of my fine folks out here on YouTube. Oh, and I do have, where's my daggone phone? An announcement. I am going on a live show tonight. And I have no doubt that it's going to get pretty wild because it's a call-in show. So people are going to be calling in and giving me a lot of grief alongside the Arkansas host. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the link. There we go. I will make sure to put the link down in the description anyways. But, anywho, it's 7:00 tonight. That I can tell you. It's going to be a good time. That I can tell you. Here we go. All right, so tonight it'll be at 7 p.m. Razorbacks from SEC Mo at Real SEC Mo. This is gonna be a good time. Everybody from Razorback Nation, everybody from Cowboy Country, get out here as I guess I take on some callers on a live show this evening. So, should be a good one. Should be a fun time. Tune in for it. Go down in the description, and you will have I'll make sure to put the link down there so you can guys chip in tonight or you can call in, whatever. Y'all know I'm down for whatever. Don't know exactly what I'm stepping into, but it sounds like a lot of fun to me. Until then, and until the next one, as always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, smash the like button if you liked the show. Hit the dislike button if you didn't, because, that's okay too. This is still #America. My podcast of people out there. You're the bricks, the butter, the bread, the fondue, the fountain. You know the drill. You're all of it. Hit the stars. Do what you do. Leave a review. All righty, YouTube. I'll see y'all later tonight. Should be fun. Later, my taters.